As in all art, poetry has forever been a gateway into the mind of the populace. Poetry puts the thought, the questions, the hopes, and the worries of the poet into written word. It's no shock, then, that death is a prevalent concept in poetry. Throughout the ages, poets have contemplated death, and more specifically its relation to life. It's only rational, then, to examine how poets from different eras discuss and represent a concept there at the end for all who have lived. Take 19th century poet and husband to author of Frankenstein, Percy Bysshe Shelley. In his poem Ozymandias, the concept of legacy after death is examined. Ozymandias, the throne name of Ramesses II, was an Egyptian pharaoh from 1279 to 1239 BCE, a powerful ruler said to be the pharaoh involved in the exodus of Moses. He, or rather his memory, are the focal point of the work. I am a traveler from an antique land. In the early 19th century, the statue of Ramesses II, the topic of this poem, was discovered. During the time, this statue's discovery was very topical. The reference here to a traveler appeals to be the reference to a man who has discovered the statue in real life, that of Giovanni Battista Caviglia, laying the groundwork for what is to come in the story that is about to be told. The traveler goes on to tell of his discovery, particularly what was left of the statue. Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. There remains not much of Ozymandias, his legs still standing, but his body vanished to time. His head barely peeks up from the sand. His expression shows that of a powerful, unforgiving ruler. As stated in The Ravages of the Time in the poem, Shelley was an open critic to the oppressive forces of the powerful had on the individual. He openly critiqued institutions like the church, unafraid of persecution. This somewhat degrading remark is only exemplary of his overall feelings of the powerful. They lack the empathy for the people they rule over, which is further described in lines 6 to 8. The sculptor modeled his wrath. That mockery is all that survives. Beside what little remains of Ozymandias, there reads his legacy. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. He made such great attempts to build his legacy, but after his death, all that remains is a wasteland of nothing. In poetry, Power and Conflict, when discussing the poem, it states, King George III arguably has impact over Shelley's poem, as it was written during his reign. He had reigned longer than any king before, but had outstayed his welcome. He was remembered for his oppression and his tyranny. It's clear this poem is a jab at King George, and a critique of how the powerful attempt to leave their legacy after their death. Yet, as Shelley states, all their attempts are pointless. Their tyrannical legacy will fade. All that will remain is the artist's critique. The poem is told in the way of an epic, a timeless tale, which is all the more intentional. This will forever occur. The powerful will attempt to live forever, but even they will be bested by the ticking clock of time. Time faces no oppression, the oppressor of the oppressor and oppressed. Moving on in time to the next century, no other poet quite articulates the concept of death like Emily Dickinson. Take Because I Could Not Stop for Death, a self-reflection which tackles the sudden nature of mortality. Furthermore, the poem that must be brought up for further analysis is I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died. Dickinson walks us through a hypothetical scenario of her death. Now, that assumption of this poem being about herself may come from nowhere, however, further in the analysis that will be made very clear. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air, between the heavens and the storm. The death around was so silent that she could hear a fly buzzing. No one spoke. No gasps or moans or whimpers. Everything lay still. This death brought no great reaction, like the calm before the storm, yet the silence reigned onward. The eyes around had run them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. The eyes around, the people who witnessed her death, have no tears left to cry. This event in itself did indeed wring them of their tears, shortened their breath. The king, potentially a reference to Christ, as Dr. Philip Irving Mitchell points out in his essay on the faith of Emily Dickinson. However, similarly to Because I Could Not Stop for Death, death itself is what the king symbolizes here. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable. It's clear the action of writing her will is being described, yet it's written in such a transactional way. It's as if all that's really left of her is the object split to close ones, the memory itself less important than the concept of holding on to it. Anything greater than what she owned died with her. That exact concept is further explained in the remaining lines of the poem. And then it was there imposed by a fly, with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz, between the light and me, and then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. In Robert Young's poetry criticism, the life of Emily Dickinson is deeply discussed. Something of note is Dickinson's isolation to the outside world. The overwhelming majority of her day was spent in her room. There, by herself, she wrote the works readable today. However, she had no intention to publish them. She assumed her written legacy would die in that room with her. The remnants of her life are this fly, the legacy she leaves behind. It fades, it goes away once the fly hits the window. She, this legacy, it attempts to be heard greater than those in the room. Yet the window was closed. The world was not accepting of her. The melancholy, pessimistic tone emanates from the page. All Dickinson ever was, all that's left of her is a stumbling, small fly, barely buzzing, bound to fade. This is what she expected of her life. Yet luckily, the window was opened, and the whole world gets to hear her buzz. Putting the attention on contemporary poetry, Natasha Trethewey's Theories of Time and Space focuses on the journey that is life, attempting to describe the human experience through a walk down Mississippi Highway 49 and Gulfport. You can get there from here, though there's no going home. Everywhere you go will be somewhere you've never been. Try this. It's written in the way of a guide, like one is lost on the side of the road and needs someone who's traveled before to tell them where they need to go. This is clearly dedicated to those inexperienced in life, those who need guidance in a world that is so uncertain. According to the Poetry Foundation, Natasha Trethewey is currently a professor, so she appears to be someone who deeply cares about teaching and helping the youth. Natasha is the experienced traveler, giving advice of life. Life never repeats itself. Every new place one goes is one they're unfamiliar with. 1 mile markers ticking off another minute of your life. This journey the traveler is going on is the journey of their life. The imagery of miles being real-life minutes draws comparisons to Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death. It's this grand journey through the life of the individual. Bring only what you must carry. Tome of memory, its random blank pages. On the dock where you board the boat for Ship Island, someone will take your picture. The photograph, who you were, will be waiting when you return. She further gives the reader advice, describing the memories one makes on their journey. Some will fill novels, others not even a page. Yet when the reader's journey is done, there waiting for them will be a retrospective. Once they have accomplished their journey, the image of who they were will be present, showing their growth. If they did not take the journey, that picture would be them, but it's not. Life is a journey with no repeats. If one wants to live their life, they must go down Mississippi 49. Otherwise, the only thing that will repeat is the thought of what could have been. It turns out life and legacy are the things poets take away from death. With death being such an unknown, all poets could ever explain is what their life or other lives mean in the grand scheme of things. What you take away is this. Whether one lives their life building statues in their honor, buzzing like a fly, or walking down Mississippi 49, the individual gets to choose how to live their life. But time decides their legacy.